Quick heads up before I start. The story I'm reading today starts so normal. That's what got me. The first few minutes you're going to think, okay, just another marriage story, just another family story. Trust me. Keep listening. It is not what it looks like. Not even close. Eyes drop to tablet. Small breath in. Story. Hana mode. B. Slightly lower, slower pace. More breath and pause. No smile. Eyes on tablet between sentences. My mother told me one thing at my wedding, that I was entering the Kim house not as a wife, as a guest who forgot to leave. I didn't understand her then. I thought she was nervous, that all mothers said things like that her fear had nothing to do with me. The first month in their house was a dream you don't want to wake from. The ondol warmed the floors. In the mornings, the kitchen smelled of pumpkin porridge. Ji-woon held me from behind while I washed dishes. His father greeted me loudly every morning, as if he was truly glad to see me. And then there was Mrs. Seo, my mother-in-law, a woman who never sat at the table first and never held my eyes for longer than a second. She served me tea in the most beautiful cup in the house. She set it down without a word. She was gone before I could say thank you. Ji-woon said, "She's like that with everyone, even with her own sister. Don't take it personally. I wanted her to like me. I mopped floors that were already clean. I folded laundry she refolded behind my back. In the 5th week, I found my wedding photograph in her bedroom, not on display, in the top drawer of her dresser, face down. I closed the drawer. I said nothing. I told myself, she just isn't ready yet. I told myself, time will fix everything." Then came the Chuseok lunch. Everyone came, Mrs. Seo's sisters, nephews, aunts I had never met before. One of the aunts asked loudly, "Which wife is this one?" A silence fell in which you could hear someone spilling tea. Mrs. Seo answered calmly, "The only wife, Auntie, the first and the last." And she placed a piece of meat in my rice bowl. For the first time I thought, maybe I underestimated her. Maybe there's something behind the coldness. Maybe she just doesn't know how to be any other way. That evening I washed dishes. She came in quietly. She stood next to me. She took a plate from my hands and started drying it herself. She said, "Soyona, in this house you can't stay too long. Even I couldn't." And she walked away before I could answer. I stood at the sink for another 10 minutes. The water had gone cold long before. I couldn't understand what she had told me. I decided it was a threat. I heard, "Get out." I did not hear, "While you still can." The next day, I noticed my father-in-law for the first time. That is, I noticed that he was noticing me. Not the way a father-in-law watches. Not the way the father of your husband watches. The way a man watches something he considers his. I told myself I was overreacting. I was imagining things. It was the stress of a new family. I should be grateful. That was how 3 months began. Months I would not later be able to remember all of, as if memory had cut pieces out of itself. Chairman Kim started coming home a little earlier, 5 minutes, then 10, just in time to see me making dinner. He brought me small things, a pastry from the Lotte Hotel, a thermos of tea from that restaurant you like. Ji-woon laughed. He said, "Dad is spoiling you." He never even smiled at any girl I dated. Mrs. Seo did not laugh. She looked at that pastry the way people look at a receipt from a restaurant they should not have been in. The ring my mother gave me at my wedding disappeared from my jewelry box on Monday. I found it on Wednesday, in Mrs. Seo's bathroom, on the edge of the sink. As if someone had simply placed it there to make me think I had forgotten it myself. I didn't ask her about it. I took the ring. I stopped wearing it in the kitchen. I started taking it off before I left my bedroom. That week, Jiwoon started working late. His father started eating breakfast with me. Mrs. Seo started going to the morning market, and she always came back late, with a small, neat bag of groceries, as if she had chosen every radish for a full hour. I understood later. She was leaving so she wouldn't be in the house. Not with me, not with him. With him. I didn't understand back then. I thought she was punishing me by leaving me alone with him, knowing it would make me uncomfortable. On Saturday, I suggested to Jiwoon that we move out, our own apartment, even a small one. I even found a 2-bedroom in Mapo. He looked at me the way people look at a child asking for a pony. He said, "You know it would hurt Mom's feelings." I said, "And what about my feelings? Do you know about those?" He didn't answer. He turned off the light. He rolled to face the wall. That night, I understood we would not be moving out, and that leaving without him wasn't moving out. It was leaving. I wasn't ready to leave. I was 26. I had spent 4 years learning to be a good wife to this man. Another week passed like that. My father-in-law started bringing coffee to my bedroom door when Jiwoon wasn't home. I stopped sleeping. I started locking the bathroom door. I started leaving the house at 7 in the morning, just to walk around the block. On one of those walks, I saw Mrs. Seo. She was sitting in a car across the street from our house, just sitting. She did not see me. She was watching the front door. She was sitting the way people sit when they are waiting for something to happen. I thought then, she is watching me, that she doesn't trust me around her husband, that she sees him bringing me pastries. I did not understand that she was watching him, that she was sitting in the car to be sure that he had left. I did not understand that she came back only after his car pulled away, that she wasn't stopping us from being alone. She was stopping me from being alone with him. That Sunday, I was mopping the hallway floor. Mrs. Seo was in the kitchen. I could hear her. She was washing vegetables. Chairman Kim was home. He was in the study. The study doors were open. I was trying not to walk past them. Mrs. Seo came out of the kitchen. She was carrying a bucket. She said to me, "I'll finish this floor. Go make yourself tea." I thought, she wants me out of the hallway. She doesn't want me walking past the study. I stood up. She said, "Go through the kitchen, not the hallway." I didn't understand why. I went. I looked back one time. Mrs. Seo was pouring soapy water on the floor. A lot of it. I thought, she is overdoing it. Chairman Kim came out of the study. He said, "Where's Soyona?" I promised to show her the new camera. He took one step. He slipped. He fell hard, sideways. He did not get up. Mrs. Seo did not move. She just stood and looked at him. She did not call for help. I ran in from the kitchen. I cried out. She turned her head slowly and said to me, "You slipped. You fell." I said, "What are you saying?" She looked me directly in the eyes for the first time in 3 months and said it again. "You fell." I didn't understand. I ran for the phone. The paramedics came in 8 minutes. My father-in-law was conscious and furious. He broke his hip. He told the paramedics he had slipped on a wet floor. He did not tell them who had poured the water. He did not say that the water was exactly where he was walking, that I had been in the kitchen. He said, "Soyona was cleaning. Soyona spilled it." He looked at me, and he smiled, and I understood, not then, but a little later, that he was choosing me as the guilty one, as the convenient one. That night I got a call from the hospital, a man in a suit. He said, "There's a small legal matter." The next day, a woman in a gray suit came to the house with a folder. She said, "I'm a psychiatrist from the hospital where your father-in-law is." She said, "Your father-in-law is concerned about you. He says you have been acting strangely. that there have been outbursts. I said, "No." I said, "I don't know what you mean." Mrs. Seo behind me said nothing. She was looking at the floor. The psychiatrist said, "We just want you to come in for an evaluation. One day, to make sure everything is fine." I didn't want to. I said, "I'll think about it." I knew it was a trap. I didn't know how to get out of it. Jiwoon came home that evening. He sat next to me. He held my hand. He said, "Just go, for the family." I understood that he had already agreed, that he had signed something at the hospital, that the decision had already been made without me. In the morning they came. 2 orderlies in white, and the psychiatrist with her folder. Mrs. Seo stood in the doorway and watched me. Her mouth opened as if she was going to say something. It closed. She turned her face away as I was let out. In the car, I cried. The psychiatrist said, "This is normal. We just want to make sure. One day." One day turned out to be 3 months. A psychiatric clinic on the outskirts of Uijeongbu. A quiet place with a high wall. They took my clothes. They gave me pajamas in pale blue. The belt of the robe, they took that too. I understood why only a week later. A different doctor examined me, not the one from the house. She asked questions that had no right answer. She asked, "Do you feel your family wants to harm you?" If I said yes, I was paranoid. If no, I was in denial. They gave me pills in the morning and the evening. After a week, I stopped remembering the mornings. After 2 weeks, I couldn't remember the days. My parents came. They were not allowed to see me. The psychiatrist told them, "It's not a good moment. She is unstable." Jiwoon came twice in the first month, then once every 2 weeks, then once a month. Then he stopped coming. Mrs. Seo never came, not once. I thought, this is because she hates me. After 2 months, a nurse who brought me dinner said very quietly, "You are the 3rd one this year from that family." I did not understand. I said, "Which family?" She looked at me and said, "Kim." And she walked away. I did not sleep that night. I thought, what does that mean? Other daughters-in-law, other women. I did not understand then. I stopped taking the morning pills. I hid them under my tongue. I spit them out afterwards in the bathroom. A week later, I started remembering the day. 2 weeks, I remembered what I was saying. 3 weeks, I started performing the theater they wanted. I smiled in consultations. I said, "I understand." I said, "I overreacted." I said, "I want to go home." The psychiatrist was pleased. She signed the discharge papers after 5 months. She called the Kim family. She told me, "They'll pick you up on Wednesday." I said, "Thank you." I smiled. I did not call my parents in advance. I wanted to see who came for me. I wanted to see their faces. I needed to know who exactly was guilty. On Wednesday, Jiwoon came for me, alone. He brought me a coat. He said, "Mom isn't feeling well." In the car, he was silent. I was silent too. I watched the window, gray Uijeongbu, then the gray outskirts of Seoul, then gray Gangnam. He stopped in front of our house. He did not turn off the engine. He did not get out to open my door. I got out on my own. I opened the door with my key. I understood. The key doesn't fit. The lock is different. Jiwoon got out of the car and came up behind me. He said, "Sorry, we changed the lock." He opened the door with his own key. In the entryway, there were shoes I did not know. Women's shoes. Elegant. Cream-colored. More expensive than anything I had ever owned. I lifted my eyes. At the kitchen counter stood a young woman. Young. Beautiful. With a coffee cup in her hand. She turned around and saw me. Her face changed. Slowly. In layers. I memorized every layer. First, confused. Second, understanding. Third, she saw that I understood too. Fourth, she went very still. And then Jiwoon came down from the second floor. He looked at me. He looked at her. He did not know what to say. Yuri spoke first. She said, "Appa, who is this?" She said it quietly. She already knew. She wanted him to say it out loud. Jiwoon opened his mouth. He closed it. He looked at the wall behind me. He said, "Soyona, let's go upstairs. Let's talk." I said, "No, here, in front of her." Yuri set her cup down. She did not leave. She put her hands flat on the counter. He said, "It isn't what you think." He said, "We thought you weren't coming back." He said, "The doctor called last month and said," I cut in. I said, "Called and said what? That I was better? That I was coming home? Which sentence was it that you decided to remarry?" He did not answer. Yuri did. She said, 2 months ago." She kept her hands on the counter. She was watching me carefully. I looked at Jiwoon. I said, "Your father put me in that hospital. Do you know that? Do you actually know that?" He said, "He hurt his hip because of you. You poured the water. You don't remember. You were unwell." I said, "I was unwell because of what he was doing, and your mother knew. Your mother tried to protect me, and you let them take me away." I saw the moment he registered it. Not agreed, not understood. Registered. A small flicker. He pushed it back down. Yuri said, still not moving, "Jiwoon-si, is what she is saying true?" She had switched to the formal ending. She was not his wife anymore either. He said her name. He said mine. He said nothing that meant anything. I walked past him up the stairs. In the bedroom that had been mine, my things were in 3 boxes in the corner. Someone had folded my sweaters. Not Jiwoon. He had never known how. I took 1 box, the one with my mother's ring in it. I left the other 2. I did not want to owe them a second trip. On my way out, I passed the guest bathroom. The door was open. Mrs. Seo was standing at the sink. She had been standing there the whole time. She was looking at herself in the mirror. She was not crying. She was practicing something. A face. The face she would need to wear later. I did not say anything to her. I did not say goodbye. I understood for the first time that she was not on their side, but I did not yet understand why. I found a small office tel in Mangwon. 1 room, a kitchenette, a window that faced a brick wall. The landlord did not ask questions. I did not call my parents. I did not know how to explain what had happened without them coming to Seoul. I was not ready to have anyone touch me. For 3 days, I did not leave the room. I ate instant ramyun. I watched the wall out the window. I did not cry. I had stopped crying somewhere around month 3. On the 4th day, my phone rang. A number I did not know. I let it ring. It rang again. I answered. It was Chairman Kim. His voice was low, warm, apologetic. He said, "Soyeon-ah, please, just let me apologize properly. Once. Then I will not call again." I said no. He said, "You deserve to hear my apology. I owe you that much. I am not asking anything else." His voice was steady. He was not begging. He was managing. I said no again. He said, "The Kim family will settle a sum on you regardless. Come to hear it in person. It is the correct way." I did not need the money. I needed to hear him say something, any small thing that would name what he had done. I said yes, that was my mistake. He said, "A traditional restaurant, private room, just us, so that no one sees the family embarrassed. That is the Kim way." You understand? On Friday, I dressed carefully. I wore a black turtleneck. I wore small pearls my mother had given me. I did not put on lipstick. The restaurant was in Insadong, old wooden building, sliding paper doors. the kind of place my parents could not afford to eat in even once. He was already there. He rose when I entered. He bowed correctly. He gestured to the low table. He had ordered too much food. For the first 10 minutes, he talked about my mother, about my father's business, about the weather in Busan. He did not talk about the hospital. He poured me wine, traditional, gray ceramic bottle. He watched my hand receive the cup the correct way. He waited to see if I would drink. I set the cup down without drinking. I said, "Abuyonim, please say what you called me here to say." He looked at me for a long moment. His face changed. The public smile went first. What replaced it did not have a name. He said, "You are going to keep this quiet, Soyona. My wife has already told me what she thinks she knows. She will keep it quiet too. She always has." I stood up. He stood up too. His hand closed around my wrist across the low table. He was not squeezing yet. He was just holding it. There is a part of that night I will not write here. I will not give it to you. He does not deserve to have it retold. I remember the taxi. I remember the driver did not ask me anything. I remember I could not remember my own address. I remember my left shoe was gone. I remember I noticed only later. I remember I did not go back for it. I sat on my bed with my coat on. I sat there until the sky outside the brick wall turned pale gray. I did not lie down. I turned the shower on. I stood in it for 1 hour. I did not scrub. I let the water do it. I did not know yet that this was pointless. For 2 weeks, I did not tell anyone. I went to work. I had a small translation job I did from home. I filed documents. I ate. I did not think. On the 13th day, I got a message from Mrs. Seo. 2 lines. "Come get the rest of your things Sunday. He will be at his golf club, 10 to 3. I went. She had left the door unlocked. She had left the house. There was a note on the kitchen counter. "Bedroom, bottom drawer of the vanity. Take everything." In the bottom drawer of the vanity in my old bedroom was a photograph album. Not mine. Older, cloth-bound, green with wear on the corners. I opened it. The first photograph was a wedding. Not mine, not Jawoon's parents. A young woman in a white dress from 30 years ago. The bride was Mrs. Seo. The groom was not Chairman Kim. The groom was a man who looked like Chairman Kim but younger, softer around the eyes, his older brother. The next page, a funeral. The older brother in a photograph on an altar. A young Mrs. Seo in mourning white, standing next to Chairman Kim. Not touching. The page after, a second wedding. Small, family only. Mrs. Seo in a plain gray suit. Chairman Kim in a black suit. 6 months after the funeral. She had not chosen him. She had been passed down, like a house key, like a family register. She had spent 40 years in a marriage that was a debt to the dead. And the last page, a newer photograph, 2 years old. A young woman in front of the Kim family home, smiling. Wedding handbook. I had never seen her before. Under the photograph was a small folded receipt from a psychiatric clinic, not the one they sent me to, another one, in Gyeonggi, 2 years ago. I closed the album. I took it with me. I understood, sitting on that bed, what third one this year meant. I understood what Mrs. Seo had been doing for 40 years. On my way out of the house, I passed the guest bathroom. She was there again. Same mirror, same posture. She had come back early. She knew I would still be there. I said, "How many?" She said, 3, that I know about, before you. She kept her eyes on the mirror. She did not turn around. I said, "Why the water on the floor?" She said, "So he would fall and break something. So he would be in the hospital. Long enough for you to get out of the house before he came home?" I said, "You wanted me to leave." All of it. The photograph, the kitchen, the morning market. You were trying to push me out. She said, "I could not tell you. If I told you, you would tell someone. If you told someone, this family would end you before it ended itself. I have watched that happen." I said, "I have to tell you something." She said, "I already know." She said, "The night at the restaurant." She said, "I know that face on a woman. I have worn it." I said, "I'm pregnant." I had not known I was going to say it. I had not tested. I had known for 4 days and had refused to know. Mrs. Seo did not react on her face. Something moved behind her eyes. She said, "Come with me. There is something you need to see." She took me to the master bedroom, to Chairman Kim's side of the closet. She opened a locked drawer with a small key she wore on a chain under her blouse. Inside were papers, business papers, deeds, bank documents, not his, hers. She had been moving assets into her own name for 18 years. She said, "The house. The company shares that matter. 3 properties in the countryside. All of it is in my name. He does not know how much." She said, "I will not divorce him. If I divorce him, I lose control. I will stay. I will make sure he cannot touch anyone else. Not while I am breathing." And she said, "You will not stay in Seoul? I have a house in Jeju. Small, by the water. It is in your name from today. You will raise the child there, or you will not. That is your choice." I said, "Why me? Why the house? Why now?" She said, "Because you are the first one who came back from the hospital. The others did not." I put the deed in my coat pocket. I did not say thank you. There was no word for what she was doing. She did not want a word. At the door, she said one thing. She said, "Do not tell your child who the father was. Not for a name, not for money, not ever." I said, "I won't." She said, "Good. That is what saves them." She turned back into the house. She did not watch me leave. 3 months later, Chairman Kim was arrested. Not for what he had done to me, for financial fraud connected to his company. The evidence came through his church. An anonymous package had been delivered to the deacon of Yongdongpo Central Church. The deacon was married to Mrs. Seo's youngest sister. The package contained financial documents Mrs. Seo had been assembling for 18 years. Not the ones she showed me. Different ones. Older. Worse. She did not send them to the police. She sent them to the church. That was the Korean way. His face broke in the community first. The prosecution followed. Ji-woon called me twice in that month. Both times I did not answer. He left one voicemail. He said, "I did not know." Mom told me last week. I did not know. I deleted the voicemail. I did not want the version of him that finally knew. It was too late. It should have been the version who did not need to be told. Yuri left the Kim house 2 weeks after the arrest. She left in the middle of the day. She took nothing that had been given to her. She was on the news for one afternoon. Mrs. Seo made a statement to the press. 14 words. She said, "My husband will face the consequences of his actions. Our family supports the process." She did not divorce him. She said the same 14 words to every reporter for 8 days. Then she said nothing else, ever, in public. Chairman Kim was sentenced to 7 years. He served 4. When he came home, Mrs. Seo was waiting for him in the same house with dinner on the table. She had spent 4 years moving the last of the assets. His name was on nothing. He signed everything without reading. He always had. I have not spoken to Mrs. Seo since the day she gave me the deed. I do not need to. She did not want me to. The debt she carried alone. The house in Jeju was small. White walls, blue tile roof, A garden of tangerine trees older than I was. The sea was 15 minutes walk down a rocky path. My daughter was born in the winter. I named her Heron. It means grace of the sea. She was the size of a loaf of bread. She was the loudest thing in the house. My parents came. They stayed for 3 weeks. My mother did not ask any question I could not answer. My father held Heron and did not say her father's name. When Heron was 6 months old, I opened the front rooms of the house as a small guest house. 2 rooms, breakfast included. I called it Between Two Shores. Most of my guests were women, alone, or with a child, or 2 friends. They stayed 1 or 2 nights. They walked to the beach. They ate my breakfast. They did not ask what I was doing there. On the anniversary of the day I came home to find Yuri at my kitchen counter, my phone rang. Number I did not know. I let it ring. It rang again. I answered. A woman's voice said, "Soyeon-si, it is Yuri. I do not know if you remember me. I was for 2 months." She could not finish the sentence. I said, "I remember you." She was quiet for a long time. She said, "I am leaving my husband, not Jiwoon, the one after Jiwoon. I need to ask you one question." She said, "When you understood, really understood, what was happening, was it too late, or was it in time?" I stood at my kitchen counter in Jeju. Heron was asleep in the next room. The soup was bubbling. I could hear the sea if I stopped listening for it. I said, "It was in time, but only because I had somewhere to go." She said, "And if I do not have somewhere to go?" I said, "I have 2 guest rooms." She was quiet. She said, "1 night, not more. I need 1 night to think." I said, "1 night is fine." She came on the ferry the next Wednesday. She wore a black coat. She had 1 small suitcase. She did not have a child with her. Not yet. I gave her the room farthest from the road. I gave her the room with the window that faced east. I did not ask her anything. She did not ask me anything. She stayed 1 night. She left in the morning on the first ferry. She did not tell me what she had decided. I did not need to know. She left an envelope on the kitchen table. Inside was cash and a folded piece of paper. The paper said, "Two Shores. Thank you." That was all. I keep the paper in a small box on the shelf above the stove, next to the deed to the house, next to a small photograph of Heron at 1 week old. Heron is 4 now. She asks me sometimes about her father. I tell her the sea is her father. I tell her the tangerine trees. I tell her the woman who gave us this house. My mother told me at my wedding that I was entering the Kim house as a guest who forgot to leave. She was right. I just left the wrong house first. End card. Hana mode. A. Warm return. Eye contact. Small smile. Eyes lift from tablet. Small smile returns. I told you. Every layer. Take care of yourselves.